All right. Um, Bear with me for just a moment here. I just want to make sure um, the video is up and running smoothly. So just give me a moment. All right. It looks like everything's working. Should be well. Um, so of course, uh, I'd like to start off with saying Shalom. Of course, all praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I just wanted to do a little live show. I'm not sure how long I'm gonna go for tonight. As I said, someone's gonna ask, well, how are you doing a live stream if you said you didn't have internet at the house? And the answer is that I'm actually out somewhere right now. So I can sit here for an hour or so and use their internet. So yeah, that answers that. Okay, so I just thought, oh, you know what? Why don't I just do a little live show? You know what I'm saying? Oh, and I hope everyone likes my new profile picture. Just a little inside joke. Um, give me a second. But yeah, man, one thing I wanted to touch on at the beginning of this video is that I was watching, Mind of God stream he did. Um, it was it like 2 nights ago or whatever, or was it the 6 hour long stream? Which I did watch the whole stream, right? I put it at what is it, 1.5 speed to listen to it. But there was a few points I slowed it down to um to go back and listen, okay, because they said something that was pure bullshit. I'll give an example. There's one cat on there, I believe his name is was it Jewish Questions, I believe. Read Jewish Questions, and he said that basically, wearing a face mask is a sin. And if you ask him why, he says the only reason why it's a sin is because it goes along with the narrative that they want out there. Well, that doesn't cut it. That doesn't you're adding to the text, right? You're adding to the scriptures to say that wearing a face covering is a sin. That's not in the Bible. The scriptures say, and we always bring up these scriptures, okay, but this is good because it makes you memorize them even more. Okay, but the scriptures say that where there is no law, there is no transgression, right? Romans 4:15. So if there's no law written in the scriptures that says that activity is a sin, well then for you to sit there and say it is, well, that's your personal opinion, but that cannot be said to be the word of the Most High. Okay, so Jewish Questions, his belief is that wearing a face mask is a sin, but according to the Bible, right, according to the scriptures, that's not true. Okay, that's not in the scriptures. It doesn't say that, right? As was it just like the deacon would say, right? The deacon from Zakari, give me book, chapter, verse, right? Give me book, chapter, verse that says that, and nobody can do it. All right. Let me see. Oh, then another one you have to bring up. What is that? 1 John 3 and 4, right? Because first of all, we have to know what sin is according to the scriptures. 1 John chapter 3 verse 4. For sin is the transgression of the law, right? So sin is the transgression of the Most High's laws. So if that being said, what type of what's the word I'm looking for? That being said, right? If sin is the transgression of God's laws, if nobody can show in God's laws where it says that this activity or that activity is a sin, well, then by logic, you can't say it's a sin. Because as I brought up before, scripture said, where there is no law, there is no transgression. I'll give an example. Scriptures don't say that you can't eat chicken, right? The scriptures say that you can eat chicken. It doesn't say you can't. So if somebody was to say, well, you can't eat chicken because that goes against the law of God, I ask them, okay, well, what law in the scriptures says that a man can't eat chicken? And of course, they're not going to be able to show the verse that says that. It's like, okay, So your statement is discredited. Your statement is flawed. All right, it's very simple, man. Okay, so this is why you have to be circumspect, or in other words, you have to be diligent when dealing with these guys, man. All right, because there's a lot of deceivers out here, man. Okay, and that's a sign of the times, man. Which we'll get into that. We'll get into everything. Okay, going along with the thumbnail of the video, it says what? And I don't have it in front of me, so I'm nearly paraphrasing it. But it says what? When you see these signs come to pass, look up because your redemption draws near, man. Right, and that's primarily what we focus on, right? Is looking forward to the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his real name is Yahweh Shai, right? Because everything that Yahweh Shai, spoke of, regarding his second coming, you can read Matthew 24, Mark 13, okay? It knows clearly everything that Christ described is going on in the world right now, man. All right, so I mean, it's evident, man. All right, and the reason why I have the tinfoil hat on is because you have these idiots out here, man, like these Christians, and I know some of them. Right? I personally know some of these people who, if you bring up any of these topics, you know, they'll say, "Oh, well, people have been saying that, for thousands of years that Christ is going to return, in their generation, right? So it doesn't see that proves it's not any different right now, right?" And then that's what they all say, right? That's all what they say, and I do agree that people have been, saying that. First of all, the apostles, they thought that Christ was going to bring the kingdom, back in that time period, man. Right? They thought that when Christ was crucified and rose again, they thought within a handful of days, Christ is going to return and bring the kingdom with him. Okay, that's what they thought. Okay, they thought that they were going to go through the great tribulation back in those times, right? But they didn't understand that it was talking about the future, which is what the time that we're in right now, man. Okay, that wasn't for them to know at that time period, which some of them are back alive today. All right, and that goes into reincarnation, which I've seen that what's those guys, right? Tried and refined, whereas Elder Apostle Gabar called them, right? Tried, died, and laid to the side, right? Shouldn't rename their group that, as Elder Apostle Gabar said, man. But damn, what was this? Oh yeah, I was gonna say that I noticed before I clicked the live button that they were doing a live stream on one of their channels, talking about disproving the topic of reincarnation. Which I don't have the time to get on there with those individuals. I mean, it's pretty much you know kicking a brick wall, man. Okay, and I mean, hell, that's a good name for a video, man. Right? When you deal with Christians, it's pretty much the same as kicking a brick wall, man. Okay, that's what it's that's what it's pretty much like, man. All right, and I'll give an example. Earlier today, I had somebody comment on the channel, one of the videos, or no, it was actually on one of the community posts, right? A community poll that I put up. It was about the salvation issue, right? I said, well, who is salvation for? Is it for the Jews? Is it for the Gentiles? Is it for everybody? Who is salvation for? And the person came on there and was like, oh, well, the Bible says that everybody can be saved, right? The Bible says that Jesus loves everybody. Then they brought up John 3:16. And then I thought to myself, I'll put up a few precepts. And I did that. And then I came back and were like, well, you guys are just not agreeing with the scriptures because it says that God loved the entire world. So see, that proves everyone can be saved. So I thought to myself, you know what? This isn't even worth the time, man. It really isn't. So that goes back to the analogy I gave, man, about, it's pretty much arguing with a brick wall, right? Kicking against a brick wall. It ain't gonna go nowhere, right? You know what I'm saying? So the conversation is not gonna go anywhere, right? That's just the way it is. The conversation is not gonna go anywhere, man. Okay, it's just gonna run around in circles. right? So I mean, it's easy to prove, the topic of salvation. If you go to what is that, Ephesians, the second chapter, it talks about how the Gentiles were once under the law. So what does that prove? That proves that the Gentiles that the apostles went to, right, and Paul went to, they're Israelites who were scattered among the other nations. Okay, so they were Israelites who were raised among the other nations, so they don't know that they're actually Jews. Okay, but they're actually Israelites, but they don't know they are. As I said, Ephesians, the second chapter, go ahead and read it. It says that they were once under the commandments. They were once under the law. Oh, wait a second. The law was only given to the Jews, to the Lord's people. So how the hell were these Gentiles, right, which they say are the other nations outside of Israel? Well, if that's the case, well, how were they once under the law? And the answer is because those Gentiles in that context are talking about Israelite foreigners, man. Right. And that's a hard concept to get. Okay, because our people were brought up with this with this belief that Christ came, and went on the cross, for the sins of everybody, right? For the sins of the, entire world. And I agree, the text says that Christ was crucified for the sins of the entire world. I do agree, it says that. But here's the problem though. What is the world? And that's where the problem comes in. All right. I agree the text says that, right? It does say that. But here's the problem though. What is the world? Because according to the scriptures, according to Isaiah 45, verse 17, it says that Israel is a world of its own, right? Israel is compared to a world of its own, right? So going back to the statement I made, I agree the text says that Christ died for the sins of all the world. I do agree with that. But here's the problem though. Israel is compared to a world. So I would say that the world that Christ died for is talking about the nation of Israel. And then if you go to and Christ said it himself, right? Christ said it himself that he was sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What is that? Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. Right? He said, hey, look, I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? Those are the ones who Christ was sent to, right? Christ wasn't sent to save all nations, man. Okay, that's this worldly Christianity. All right. But that's not in the Bible though. Or that's not in the scriptures. All right. As you got to go precept upon precept, man. And that's when you deal with the whole virgin birth thing, right? Which I know Mind of God wants to bring that up in round three, right? Round three of our debate, which we've had a few debates in the past, right? 1 and 2, I believe they were both like 4 hours long, or something like that. Which I don't think he has them on YouTube anymore, but you can go to my backup page and find them on there, because I recorded them as well. But I was reading, some of the virgin birth stuff, and it becomes evident that when Joseph spoke about wanting to put Mary away privately, you ask yourself, well, why? Well, what is up with that? And here's why it's important to know the customs of the time, because if you go ahead and read, what is that? I want to say Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, right? Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. I believe you start at verse 13, right? Verse 13 on down. And you can read about it. It talks about how, if a man takes a female, right, to be his wife, if he, makes something up and says, well, she wasn't a virgin when I took her, and it turns out she was, right? And the family can prove that she was because they have the token of her virginity, which is talking about they would have a cloth there that the woman would bleed onto. And those were just the customs of the time. So this is why this is important. Okay, you're not going to be able to understand the so-called virgin birth. You're not going to understand it unless you understand the customs of the time. Okay, this is why you have to separate yourself from this Western philosophy, man. Right? Because the Bible is an Eastern book. Right? The Bible's not a Westernized book. It's a completely different world, man. Okay, but anyway, going back to what it was saying, if you read it, but you can read it yourself to confirm I'm not making anything up. It says that So then what happens is the man would be, if it's proven that the woman was a virgin, right, when he lied with her, and he was trying to say she wasn't, so he didn't have to take care of her. The man would be, brutally punished for that, and he would have to pay the man, I believe, the father of the damsel, or the father of the other woman. I believe he had to pay 100 shekels of silver. You can read it yourself. Okay, but it says under it, but if this thing be true, right? If it's true that the woman wasn't a virgin when they got married, well, it says what? That she shall be stoned to death. That's what it says. Right. So back then, man, it was very serious, man. Okay, that you would want, your daughter to be a a virgin when she gets with another man. And what does the word virgin mean? It just means that they haven't laid with another person, right? That's what it means. Okay, so back then, man, that was a very serious thing. Okay, if a woman wasn't a virgin when she gets married to a man, hey, well, there's no, there's a good chance that the woman could get stoned, man. Okay, that's just how it was. Okay, so you have to know these customs in order to understand the situation with Joseph and Mary in Matthew, 1 verse 18 on down. Okay, that's why Joseph wanted to put her away privately. Okay, because it would have gave them excuse my stutter, a bad outlook, right, on the society, right, and the people around. Okay, so this is why guys can't understand the um the whole virgin birth thing. Okay, because it goes around the customs of the time period. All right, that's why it's so difficult to understand, right? Because these guys are thinking from a Western mindset. Okay, and that's why they're believing that Christ was born without a physical father, man, right? An earthly father, which the scriptures say that Joseph was the father of Christ. That's what the scriptures say. Even Mary said that. If you go to what is that? Luke the second chapter, right? Mary said, I and thy father have sought thee. She was talking to Christ. Okay, but she said what? That I and thy father. Wait a second. I thought that according to Christians, that Joseph wasn't the father of Christ. So wait a second. So why is Mary referring to Joseph as the father of Christ? And then if you go to what is that? Hebrews chapter 7 verse 14, it says what? That it's evident that our Lord sprang out of the tribe of Judah, right? The Lord Yahushua, who the world calls Christ, came from the tribe of Judah, right? So that proves that Christ had a father, because we know according to according to the scriptures, that the lineage of a man is dependent upon his father. Okay, the mother doesn't have anything to do with it. It just goes by the father's side. Let me see. Shalom to Ridge Napper in the comments section. He said, why does little things like this matter in the end? Like if Jesus had an earthly father or not? Well, I'll say this. Um, I don't think that somebody's teaching that Christ was born of a virgin birth, or if Christ was born of man and woman laying together. I don't think that's going to cost somebody their salvation, right? I don't see that. Okay, I mean maybe it will. Okay, but I mean, the reason I go into it is because it's in the scriptures, right? So that's the reason why you got to go over it again. Same thing. I'll give an example. Same thing with how Christians use John 3:16 to say that Christ died for everybody, but that's not true, because you can go to multiple precepts to prove it. That's not true. Okay, so by the same line of reasoning, we go into it because it's in the scriptures. All right, that's why it has to be, going over, is because it's in the scriptures. That's why we have to address it. It's very simple. Let me see. Hey, Rich, man, if you want to click that link, right, you can join the show, man. Which is a fresh link in the chat. Let me see. Oh, and as far as this one character, man, who we had on the show, this guy's name is what is it, Mike? Something like that. Yeah, I think the character's name is Mike, right? Or as mine, the guy will call him the actor, right? That actor calls himself Mike. He came on the show and he was talking about how oh well, Christ done away with the laws of the Old Testament, right? We only have to go by the Ten Commandments today. Excuse that noise in the background. I'm just opening sun. It's like, well, what the hell are you talking about, man? Christ said in Matthew 5, verse 17 on down, that he came not to destroy the law, man. Then under it, he said, what? That, hey, look, those who teach to keep the law are going to be counted among the great in the kingdom. Okay? Let me just grab a drink real quick. All right, so it's self-explanatory, right? Self-explanatory, man. Okay, that it's very clear. Okay, that Yahushua, who the world calls Christ, did not do away with the law. Let me hit some comments real quick. Rich Napper said, I need your best wishes. My brother-in-law cheated on my sister, and my mom cheated on my dad. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's that's what's going on right now, man. Okay, there's as I said, man, that's just what's going on here. I mean, hell, we got to talk about this for a few minutes, man. America will sit here and act like they're, a nation under God. But here it is. It came out that there's websites out here on the internet, right? And you won't see this over in Saudi Arabia or in Israel, right? Or any of those places because they put blockers on certain things on the internet, just like the schools do, right? They put blockers on it. So you can't access certain things on the internet. So what I'm about to mention won't be over some of those highly religious, nations. But here in America, man, there's apps out there that you can download, or I should say websites that you can download or go on to, you know what I'm saying? That you can go on your computer, on your phone, and you can meet up with married women when their husbands are out. And I've seen them before. Not that I'm on there, but I've seen the ads for them, right? I've seen the ads for these websites, man. Okay, it says, well, you can, meet up with, married women, right? While their, husbands are away. Right. So that's wickedness right there, man. That's adultery right there. That's a sin unto death according to the scriptures. So how the hell can America be a nation under the Most High, which is clear bullshit to begin with? But how the hell can that be the case if here it is, there's websites out here that are encouraging people to go commit sins unto death? That's a serious sin, man. That's a sin unto death right there, sleeping with another man's wife. That's a sin unto death right there, man. I believe that's in Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and look, but it says what? That if a man be found laying with another man's wife, it says both the man and the woman shall surely be put to death. That's what it says. Okay, that's what it says, man. All right, but Christians will sugarcoat everything, right? Christians will just sugarcoat the scriptures. Okay, that's what they do, man. They just sugarcoat everything. Okay. Let me see. Let me hit some comments. Rich said everybody's heart has gone bad. Yeah, man. Everybody. Hey, and that's in the scriptures. The scriptures say that, in the last times, men's hearts shall become cold, man. Nearly paraphrasing the text, right? That's what it says. Men shall be lovers of themselves, right? And the because iniquity will abound, the love of many will wax cold. Right. And that's exactly what's going on, man. Right. The love of that people once had is starting to dwindle away. Right. The world is slowly but surely, becoming more wicked as the days go on, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hell, you had what was that whole thing with that what was that? That Satan shoes that cost like $666. That kind of stuff is promoted, man. That kind of stuff is promoted. But if they came out with damn, Jesus shoes, you would barely see commercial for that anywhere. But those damn Satan shoes, get a, damn, videos recommended on that, everywhere you turn, man. Back when that was popular. You know what I'm saying? And y'all remember what I'm talking about. Bear with me a second. Hey, Shalom to two-letter J, right? Sacramento Truth Movement. Good to see you around. He said, hey, ETT, I got my second channel back. Can you believe that? Yeah, man, that's, hey, you got lucky there, man, right? You got lucky there. Because usually, when you try to, what is it, appeal, I believe the word would be used, appeal, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, try to, get your video put back on or your channel, given back. 90% of the time, they'll just say, oh, well, we reviewed it and it did violate our community guidelines. It's like, oh, okay. But sometimes, and I can give a few examples that happened to me before, but sometimes they'll actually say, oh, you know what, you're right. We misunderstood, we'll give the video back, or in Jay's case, we'll give the channel back, which is good. That's why you should always try to appeal your videos and your strikes. You should always try to appeal them. 90% of the time it doesn't work, but you know what? It is worth a try. You know what I'm saying? It definitely is worth a try because it can work. All right. You just have to argue your case. He said, I got 2 channels terminated, then appealed this week, and now I got them back. He said, been praying. Oh, yeah, man. As I said, that's, you should always try to appeal them, man. Okay. Because as I said, majority of the time it's not going to work, but sometimes it might work. All right. So it's always worth the chance, right? The chance is always there. So you always got to take it, right? Take the 10 minutes out of your day and write your concerns on why they, did you wrong. And they might say, oh, you know what? You're right. We'll give it back. And as I said, it's rare, but sometimes it does happen, so you just got to take your chances with it. But going back to what we're saying, earlier, oh, and you have to touch on this too, man. You got these cats out here, telling the people, that they're going to be saved, before the Great Tribulation, man. All right, that's pure nonsense, man. That's pure nonsense. And I found another cut to this. I found another cut. I don't have the scriptures with me, but here's another thing I found when I was rereading Matthew the 24th chapter, because I always like to go back and read certain chapters over again because it refreshes your memory, right? But if you go to Matthew 24, it's above the what was it, verse 29. It's a few verses above that, so you'd have to go and read it yourself. It's a few verses above that, right? Because mind of God will say, oh, well, it says tribulation. So see, it means 2 different things from the Great Tribulation. It's like, well, here's the problem, though. If you go a few verses above, it says that then shall be great tribulation, right? Since has not been seen upon the earth, but for the elect's sake, those days they shall be shortened. Wait a second. It says that there shall be great tribulation, since was not seen upon the earth. And then under it says, but for the elect's sake, those days they will be shortened. So mind of God got an absolute spiritual KO by that, man. It says what? There's going to be great tribulation, but for the elect's sake, the days will be shortened. So how the hell would the days of the great tribulation be shortened for the elect's sake if the elect are already taken to prior to it, are already taken away prior to the great tribulation? How the hell does that make any sense? Like seriously, to the people who are watching right now, how the hell does that make any sense, man? You can find it yourself, Matthew 24, right? A few verses up from verse 29. That's what it says. Read it in the King James. Let me see. Rich Napper said, have you heard from Rock lately? As I said, I've tried to reach out to Rock upon him. I tried to call the guy for a year now, and he doesn't answer. So I don't know what the hell he's up to. The last time I Last time I heard from him, he's just out there playing damn, you know, what is it, Resident Evil? Which don't get me wrong, I like Rock Upon Him, right? I do like Rock Upon Him because to what I'm looking for. I remember meeting the guy in real life, right? We had a whale of a time, man, right? We were making inside joke after inside joke after inside joke within inside joke off camera, man. Right? We were having a good ass time, man. And I remember we mentioned you in one of our conversations, Rich, which it was all, of course, good, right? We're saying that you're, good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, me and Rock Upon him, yeah, that brother is cool, man. That's a guy who I would buy a $5 Red Bull for, right? And that shows you something. $5 is a lot of money, man. Right? But yeah, that's a guy I'd buy a $5 Red Bull for. And hell, he's going off because he said that the MOB is talking about Sunday worship, and he teaches that the Vatican City is Mystery Babylon. So he don't know the scriptures, right? He don't know the scriptures, right? But you know what? As I said, give him the benefit of a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then of course we had, the cameraman, right, Marco, there, as we call him, right, which is actually a friend of mine. I've known him since, you know, pretty much early childhood, man. We've been friends since we were like 8 years old, right? And here we are, we're both around, what are we? We're both about 20 years old now, right? I believe we're both 19. Well, he's 18, I'm 19. So yeah, we've known each other for a long ass time, man. As I said, I would say that Marco, you know, I have to, put his name in code because I'm not sure he wants his whole name out there, of course. But Marco, he he's been pretty much, I would say that he's been pretty much my true friend in life, man. Okay, the one friend I've had that I've been friends with for the longest, man. We've been friends for at least 9 years, 8.5, 9 years at least. Right? I'm not gonna do the math, but we've been friends for a long ass time, man. Okay, so I talked to him. I believe 4 days ago. I hit him up on the messenger. Right? I say, hey, we're still buddies, right? We're still buddies. Rock Upon him. I've known him for a good, I want to say, what, 6 years, 7 years, something like that. I try to talk to him. He don't talk to me anymore. So, I mean, hey, that's on him, right? I tried to reach out to him, at least 25 times this year, and he don't answer the phone. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know what's up with him. He's pretty weird, but I mean, I still like the guy. You know what I'm saying? Um, Let me hit some comments real quick. It said, "Are you gonna tell your life story?" Yes, I will do a video um about that. I'm not gonna do it here. Um, but in the near future, I will do a video going over my my personal story, and my testimony as well. Okay, because as I said, I've been in this truth since I was 12 years old, man. Okay, so that's it's been a long time. Okay, and it's I got a hell of a story to tell. That's all I can say, man. I mean, hell, we all have a story, to tell about this. We all have a story, that brought us into this thing. Okay, we all have one, man. Okay, but I'll save that story for another day. Right? We'll save that for another time. Jay asked, "What is your take on you pre-trib or post-trib?" Well, according to the scriptures, it says that the elect are taken away after the tribulation of those days. Matthew 24, verse 29 on down. It says what? And to gather together his elect from the four corners of the earth. So wait a second. The key point is that after the tribulation of those days. And here's where these guys get all twisted because they try to say that the tribulation and great tribulation are two different time periods, which is pure bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's pure bullshit. The tribulation and the great tribulation are the same time period. It's just different authors are referring to the time period as different names. I'll give an example. Jacob's trouble, right? Daniel, the 12th chapter, says about a time called Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is just talking about the Great Tribulation, but it calls it a different name. I'll give another example. What about if you go to what is it, Book of Second Ezra is the 15th or the 16th chapter? It speaks about what? The beginning of great sorrows and great death, right? The beginning of great wars and confusion. That's the time period it calls it, but the time period is just referring to the Great Tribulation, but it calls it different time periods though. It calls it, it calls it different names, but it's the same time period. All right, excuse my stutter. It's calls it different names, but it's all referring to the same time period. So this is where guys are getting all mixed up and confused, man. But this is why the scriptures speak about, hey, look, let the blind lead the blind, and they're all fall into a ditch. Hey, so mind of God's leading you all to a ditch, man. All right, and I'm not hating on mind of God. We've been friends for a number of years. So I like the guy, right? I hope he makes it onto those chariots, and I'll always say that, right? Same thing with what is it, the tried and refined, right? Whereas Elder Apostle Gabar called him, right? The tried, died, and laid to the side, right? I hope that those brothers make it onto the chariots, man. And I'll always say that, right? I hope that the brothers make it onto those chariots. Well, wait a second. They don't even believe in the chariots. So I should just say it. I hope they, receive salvation. You know what I'm saying? So, I'll always say that. But, as far as doctrine wise, hey, they're leading you all astray, man. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay. I mean, it's very simple. Let me see. Let me just catch up on a few comments here. Bear for just a second. Rich said, Pope Francis is Mystery Babylon. I mean, hell, Rock Upon him said that the Pope Francis is the Antichrist. So if you watch the debate I had with him, which we had a few debates, but I put one of them, I believe it was yesterday, I put it in the community post. So just go over to the community post and you can rewatch that debate we had. And there was a question I asked him in there because he said that Pope Francis is the Antichrist. So people are going to go worship Pope Francis, is what he said. So I asked him, it's like, okay, so are you telling me that six pack Uncle Joe is going to go worship Pope Francis? So six pack Uncle Joe is going to go to the Vatican and worship Pope Francis. Well, what sense does that make? And then I asked him, well, how are atheists going to worship Pope Francis if they don't believe in a higher power? And he was like, whoa, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? As I said, man, rock upon him. Yeah, he don't know the scriptures. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Right? He's a cool character, right? He's a cool actor, but he don't know the scriptures. All right, you guys should have seen, man. Off camera, he mentioned something to me about about the Vatican being Babylon, man. We had to we had a little argument about that. A little, couple jokes thrown in there. You know what I'm saying? Wish I could have got that on camera, but my recorder only had an hour on it. So we we did what we could. But yeah, as I said, man, it was definitely good to get to see Rock Upon him because he came over 2 days actually, right? 2 days he came over, and he would have came over more. But here's the story behind it. I was moving, so the little fun story behind how ETT and Rock Upon him, met, um, is I was in the middle of moving, right? We were literally packing the truck up, and we're about to move in like 2 days, right? So then as we're out packing the truck, Marco and Jonathan walked by. I didn't notice them at first until they were coming down, you know, from my apartment building, right? And then I was like, oh, who the hell is this? And then I was like, oh shit, that's Marco and Jonathan, right? Rock upon it. It's like, yeah, I had to, stop what I was doing and go ahead and hang out with those guys for a bit, man. We had some fun, right? You know, um, we had some fun, man. Right? That's all I'm gonna say. We definitely had some fun. I wish I could have been down there with them right now, man. Those guys are cool, right? But hey, it is what it is, man. But the Lord had it work out, in a way. that I got to, meet up with, Jonathan, before I was leaving Florida because I've been trying to reach and meet up with Jonathan for I want to say a good 3 years, but I never got to do it because he'd always make up an excuse. You know what I'm saying? But when I was about to move across the country, or as Larkin Rose would say, the crunchy inside joke. Jonathan showed up. Say, hey, it is what it is. The Lord, has everything work out, man. That's just the way you have to look at things. Let me see. Let me see. I'm just gonna get caught up on the comments real quickly. Yeah, yeah, you had somebody come on the comment board a few years back, and he said that Pope Francis is Babylon the Great, like not the Vatican, but actually Pope Francis. And we're not even joking about that. We're being serious, right? Me and Rich. Um, let's see. Sacramento said, "You got to get on Discord, ETT. LOP and Mike are on there. It's wild." And um, I'll say this. I got a Discord a while back because I wanted to go on with that character. Calls himself what's that cat? The Sovereign Israelite calls himself Dreadlord. Y'all should know who he is, right? He teaches that he's the #1 educator in the world, and that you have to pay $900 for a debate, right? $300 an hour, a minimum of 3 hours. So that's $900 or more to have a debate with that coon, man. The cat's on there saying that Babylon the Great is the Vatican City, and that the real Jews are the people over in Israel today, man. I haven't seen a suck of that soul since Panicula. That's all I'm gonna say, man. The cat's a damn joke, man. That's a damn joke. Um, but we'll see. I might go ahead and get on there. But hey, look, go ahead and tell Mike to join the show, right? Tell Mike to click that link, all right? Because that brother was saying some foolish ass stuff, man. Because I was watching when you had him on your stream, Jay. I was watching, I put up some comments in there that you read to him. But it's clear, man. He's just he's tap dancing. That's all he's doing. He's doing that Christian shuffle, right? Mike's doing that Christian shuffle. That's all I can say. He's just tap dancing around those scriptures like the bottom half of Betty Ripson. Inside joke. Which the only way you'll know what I'm talking about is if you read the Stephen King's It novel. Let me see. Sacramento said the idea of a Christian Antichrist, I do not believe, like in the movie The Omen. So pretty much the typical idea of an Antichrist. I think that's more of a collective of a group, not one single man. And you're right. Scriptures say, what is that? First John, I want to say, what is it, 2:18? First John 2:20, I believe it's 2:20 or 2:22. It says, what is an antichrist, right? One who does not confess that Christ is come in the flesh. This is a liar and the antichrist, right? So it's saying that one who doesn't believe is an antichrist. So according to the Bible, there are multiple different antichrists. There's not just one man who's going to rise and rule the world. That's a fable, right? So that's why guys are saying that we're not in the end times right now because that's what I'm looking for. Because well, there's not an antichrist anywhere in sight. So the mark can't be here. Babylon can't be here because there's no antichrist anywhere. So that just shows you, man, that Christians just don't know the Bible. Because as I brought out, it says that there's many antichrists, right? There are many antichrists. And let me say this, right? Because if I get Michael on the show, I'll go for a little bit with him, but I'm not going to go for too long tonight. As I said, I'm not going to go for too long tonight. Okay, so I just want to make that clear before he joins. So then when he comes on, and I make a statement and say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to stay on for much," then he'll say, "Oh, well, you're just running, you're just running." So I just want to put that out there before he clicks that link, right? That I said it prior to him coming on, okay? Because I might cut it at an hour. We'll see, whatever the spirit will. Let me see. Sacramento said, "However, I do believe there will be a false prophet in the last days, but not an antichrist. I believe that Nimrod from Babylon will be reincarnated in the last days." Well, as far as the false prophet in the scriptures is talking about the Roman Catholic Church. All right, the Roman Catholic Church is the false prophet because all religion stems down from the Catholic Church. Okay, so the Catholic Church is the one who's going around, teaching people, misconceptions about the scriptures. So the Catholic Church is not Babylon the Great. That's talking about America. But as far as the false prophet goes, that's talking about the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church. All right. So that'd be my take on that. Rich said, "Do you want to meet with Elder Apostle Bahar, make a video with him?" Hey, look, man, if I could get down there, I'll go ahead and, join the Elder Apostles, man. But I look forward to hopefully doing that one day. If I do that, I'm gonna have to I mean, hell, man, I'll have to give all the Elder Apostles some silver or some money, man, to pay some tribute to them, right? I have to give, the elders, some money, or some silver, right? I have to pay some tribute to the Elder Apostles, which of course, sincere shalom to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. Um, Let me see. But yeah, man, I mean, excuse me. I mean, just looking at everything right now in the world, man, it's it's clear, man, that this thing isn't getting any better, man. And you know what I'm talking about. I have to use code word. Okay, but it's clear that the world isn't getting any better. And it's not gonna, right? And we've been telling the people that for how long, man? I remember when all this first started, people were like, "Oh, well, hopefully, in 2 weeks from now, we'll all be able to go back to church, right? We'll all be able to just go back to church. You know what I'm saying? We'll all be able to go and hang out with each other again." And here we are, what, almost 2 years later? Nearly 2 years later. In less than what? In less than 5 months, it'll be 2 years. Okay. No, that's crazy, man. I mean, hell, you know, it's um, it's hard to believe that we're in a global crisis, which I gotta watch the words I use. But at this point, man, you're so used to putting on, that face diaper to go into the stores that you automatically do it, right? Without even thinking about it. Your body just does it. That, oh, I gotta put this on, before I go in. You've been doing it for so long now that you don't even have to think about it, right? The muscle memory is there to remember, oh, gotta reach in my pocket and put this on before I enter a establishment. So you don't even have to think about it anymore, man. Oh, which by the way, I believe I talked about this at the beginning of the stream, but I'll touch on it again. Cats out there saying that you can't wear a face mask. The hell are these guys saying, man, that it's a sin to wear a face mask? Guys are lost in the sauce, man. It's a damn joke saying that it's a sin to wear a face mask. Where the hell is that at in the scriptures? That's not in the scriptures. There's no verse that says that. So you guys are adding to the text. Oh, what is that? Revelation 22, verse 18, verse 19, right? Any man who, adds to the scriptures, he's going to get his name, taken away out of the book of life. Right. And that's what's going to happen, man. But if you add to the scriptures, you're going to get your name, written out of the book of life, man. What just means what? You're not going to receive salvation. So you got to be careful, man. And that's all I'll say on that. Let me see. Ridge asked, How would you debunk that guy saying Pope Francis is Mystery Babylon? The way I would disprove that is Babylon is a physical location, not a person. So I mean that's the nail in the coffin. You know what I'm saying? Bear with me a second. Okay, good. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, it's just we're on high tide right now, man. Or as ETT likes to say, tide tips in our favor, right? The tide tips in our favor, right? And that's true, man. It definitely is true that the tide is tipping in our favor right now. And what does that mean? That means that it's going well for us right now. Why? Because we're seeing those prophecies, come to pass, man. Just like Elder Apostle Tahor said, those prophecies are popping off like popcorn. And it's true, right? It's true, man. Those prophecies are popping off, right? Left and right, man. I mean, you can't deny it anymore, man. Right? You can't deny that the things that's going on in the world right now, clearly line up with the what Christ told us about, man. Okay, you can't deny that. As I said, man, some people are just willfully ignorant. I want to say shalom to the brother Luke in the comment section. Hope all is well with the brother. Um, let's see. He said the Pope promotes the juice, and yeah. As I said, they all definitely promote that. Right? That's what they're all. I mean, hell, man. I was watching. You have some of these churches out here, telling their congregations, oh well, if you want to do the right thing, God wants you to go get juiced up, right? That's what God wants you to do, right? God wants you to go get the juice, right? That's what God wants you to do. So it just shows you, man, that these congregations out here, these churches don't know what the hell is going on, man. Okay, oh, what is that? One of my new favorite verses, right? Revelation chapter 2 and verse 2. It says, what? We have tried them who say they are apostles and are not, but we have found them to be liars. Nearly paraphrasing the scripture. And the word apostle means a teacher, right? One who teaches. So that can apply to these Christian pastors, man. Right? We have tried them who say they are teachers, but we have found them to be liars. Right? And that stands factual, right? On almost all topics. We've tried these men who said that they are teachers, and we found them to be liars. What about this cat out there? What is it, G-Man? Right? G-Man saying you can eat a mouse sandwich if you want to. Hey, we tried him and we found him to be a liar. We found him to be teaching an antichrist doctrine. Vocab Malone, right? Vocab Malone. Hey, look, we tried him, and hey, look, we found out that he's just an actor. Inside joke, right? We just found out that he's just an actor. Just like what about what's that cat? Just like the chief high priest himself. Inside joke. Chief high priest Alizé, right? Alazar of the Sakari. He's just an actor too, man. Right? He knows some more stuff than the other guys mentioned. I'll give him credit. Right? That's true. But hey, we tried him and we found him to be liars, man. And I know because I've spoken to that guy myself. Okay, because you try them on certain things in the scriptures, and you can see, man, and they're just playing with the emotions of the crowd. That's what they're doing. So going back to the verse, I'll quote it again. Hey, we tried them who said they are apostles, and we have found them to be liars. Right. So we tried these men who claim that they're teachers, and we have found them to be liars, man. And that the same can be said with all these Christian pastors out here, man. Okay. And I'm not saying that they're deliberately trying to trick people. I'm not saying that. I definitely do believe that they're very kind hearted, people. Absolutely. Right. I don't think anybody's deliberately trying to trick people. You know what I'm saying? I just think that they're misinformed, right? Just misinformed with what they're saying. I'll give another example. People who eat pork, they're not doing that to be spiteful and to deliberately go against the commandments of the Most High. They're just uneducated and don't know that it goes against the commandments because they were misled by these pastors that it don't matter anymore. I'll give a story. The other day, someone offered me a bag of Doritos, right? And I was like, "Oh, no, no, thank you, man. I can't. No, I can't eat it." Because I said because it contains pork in it. They were like, "Oh, well, I thought that you like these." I was like, "Hey, man, I used to, eat them, but then I found out, they're made with certain ingredients that come from pig, right?" And you can look on the back of the bag, look into certain of the ingredients. You'll see what I'm talking about. But what happened was they said that oh well, I know that the scriptures talk about not eating pork, but my pastor told me that was back then. That doesn't apply anymore. Which I was gonna I wasn't gonna go deep into it with the individual. The scriptures talk about a wise man will hold his tongue because it was a family member. You know what I'm saying? So at certain times, I might think of something smart to say, but you know what? Hey, look, the scriptures say what they say. I can tell them, hey, well, look into this, in your free time, or ask your pastor this, But as I said, man, a lot of guys ain't ready to know a lot of this stuff. I wanted to say, well, ask your pastor about what is that? Isaiah 66 verse 17. They who eat the mouse and the swine's flesh will be consumed together, says the Lord. I wanted to say, well, ask him about that. Well, what does that mean? And you can't say that's already happened because if you read the two verses above, it's clearly talking about when Christ returns for a second time. So that clearly hasn't happened. So that's clearly a cut. That's a spiritual KO right there. Okay, so that's just an example, man. Let me see real quick. Let me just get caught up on these comments because they're coming in like a flood, man. Which is good. Keep the comments alive. Let me see. He said, and now the Australian Greek Orthodox Church is now pro-juice. And as I said, man, it just shows you that these churches, are not teaching the people the correct doctrine, man. First of all, the scriptures say, what is that, Acts the 7th chapter and Acts the 17th chapter. It says that the Lord does not dwell in temples that are built by hands. Okay, the Lord doesn't dwell in temples built by hands. Okay, I mean, hell, this is church service right now. Okay, we're in church service right now by all of us sitting here and discussing the scriptures, man. Right, this is considered to be church service. Okay, it's not talking about going to a certain particular religious building that's been built. Because as I said, according to the scriptures, it says the Lord doesn't dwell in temples that are built by hands. Okay, so that cuts Christians who say, well, in order to truly worship the Lord, you have to come to church. But that ain't true because well, wait a second, what about Christ? Even though Christ did go to certain of their churches and challenge them there, of course, but he taught primarily to the people out in the open, right? He went, and taught the multitudes of people, out in the open, man. And there's some accounts where he was by the seaside. So he wasn't in the building. You know what I'm saying? So that pretty much answers that. Which I can't hit everything in the comments because there's so many coming in. Um, Luke said, I have my second juice. Hey, man. Oh, and then he said, no more booster for me. Hey, look, man, as I said, just stay away from those, man. As I said, that'd just be my advice towards you. Okay, just stay away from that. Okay, because who the hell knows what the, getting put in there, man. Just stay away from those. Okay, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Um, let me see. Sacramento said, "Don't diss Vocab Malone, man. Love that guy for a comedic effect." As I said, man, hey, look, Vocab is a good actor. I'll give him that. I'll give him that, and I will give him this as well. That he definitely knows a lot of stuff. I will give him that, right? I will give him that he can teach the scriptures without even having it there with him. I'll give him that. You know, somebody I would lose in a debate with? What's that cat? Right, Brother Polite. Right, Brother Polite. I would lose in a debate with Brother Polite. You know why? Not because he knows the scriptures more than me, but rather because the way that he asks questions and sets things up, it's just he's on another level. That's all I'm gonna say, man. He's an unbeliever. I mean, hell, he shot up the Bible at the shooting range. Is what he did. Look that up. All right, but so he's an unbeliever. He's an antichrist, but he's a very good debater. I will give him that. Which last time I heard about him, I believe he's in jail right now because he slept with a 14-year-old or something like that. Which, you know what? That's in the scriptures, right? That's in the scriptures. So according to the Bible, if he did do that, that's not going off because the Bible says that you can do that. Which I'm not saying that he, you know, should do that today. No, because the scriptures say that all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. What is that? 1 Corinthians 6:12. I know that, right? But that is in the scriptures, right? It does say that in the text, right? 1 Corinthians 7:36. Right? If any man thinks he behaves himself uncomely towards his virgin, as long as she pass the flower of her age, where the need so require, let him do what he will. He sins not. Let them marry. And the flower of her age is talking about when a girl gets her first menstrual cycle. Okay, because that's when a girl becomes a woman. A girl becomes a woman when she is able to give birth to babies. Okay, that's what it is. That's the facts. ETT didn't make that up. That's the facts. That's the scientific facts. All right, just like with a boy, right? A boy becomes a man when his body can produce semen, right? Because what does that mean? That means that you can reproduce and have children. All right, so that's what makes a man and a woman a man and a woman. Or in other words, that's what makes a child into a adult, is being able to reproduce, to bring forth more offspring. It's very simple, man. You know what I'm saying? I went on with what's those guys, right? The damn Sakari. I went on there with them, to discuss that subject because they teach differently. I was watching one video that Deacon, right, the Deacon put up, and he was saying that well, according to the Bible, it's unlawful to deal with a woman until she's about 20 years old. Let me make that statement again. The Deacon, right, the Deacon Sakari, he said in the video that, well, I mean, the Bible says it's unlawful to deal with a woman until she's about 20 years old. That's not in the Bible. Where is that at in the scriptures? And ETT's read the Bible twice. That's not in there. That's not in the scriptures. Where does it say that it's unlawful for a human to engage in sexual activity until they're about 20 years old? That's nowhere in the Bible. So he's adding that into the text. That's not in there. According to the scriptures, the scriptures say that you can engage in sexual activity when you hit sexual maturity. And how can you prove that? Because you go to what is that, Ezekiel the 16th chapter? Right, Ezekiel the 16th chapter. And you can read that, which I brought this up to Deacon, and he was like, oh, well, this is a parable, right? And I said, yeah, it is a parable. But Christ is doing what? I should say Yahweh, because Christ wasn't on the scene yet. But Yahweh was comparing the nation of Israel to a little girl growing up and becoming a woman. That's why if you read it, it first spoke about how, her body was bare, right? Like a child, right? A child doesn't have secondary sexual characteristics. Look that word up because I'm sure a lot of you don't even know what that word means. Talking about these Sakori guys, man. Right? A child does not have secondary sexual characteristics. That's not, children don't have that. Right? Just say for an example, hey, look, I'm just saying the facts. That's all I'm saying. Right? I'm not giving sexual advice. This is only the facts. That's all I'm mentioning. So someone don't like it, where they can go kick bricks. You know what I'm saying? Because as the saying goes, the truth does not fear a investigation, right? The facts don't fear an investigation. So that's why we can so boldly proclaim what we so boldly proclaim, is because we've actually looked into things, right? We don't just say shit just to say it. We actually look into what we're talking about. Unlike some of these clowns out here, man. But going back to what I was saying, you know, children, children just see people, right? If they see a, men or women walking around, they don't notice any secondary sexual characteristics on those humans. They just see men and women walking around. They just see people, right? But as far as adults, right, sexually mature human beings, they notice certain things on other sexually mature human beings. Okay, for males, if you notice, a fine woman walking around, you might, do a double take. You know what I'm saying? You might do a damn triple take looking at some of these women, man. All right, why? Because sexually mature human beings find other sexually mature human beings sexually attractive. It's just a fact, right? Children don't, all right, but human beings who are sexually mature do, okay? So as I said, man, hey, look, the facts are the facts, okay? It's just a lot of these cats are just emotional when it comes to certain topics like this because they don't agree with what the text says. But going back to what I was saying about Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, the first part spoke about how she was a child, right? She was bare. Her body had no sexual characteristics to it. Excuse my stutter. Um, but later on, if you continue to read the chapter, it says, "But then I came back and I looked upon thee, and behold, that this was now the time of love." And it said, "What? Thy breast have fashioned, and thy hair has grown." And what is that talking about? That's talking about puberty, right? What happens during puberty? You already should know. Okay, so see, clear as day, man. That's in the Bible. ETT didn't make that up to fit his perverted views. I didn't make that up. That's what the Bible says. So I'm going to ask the question the deacon asked. Do you agree with the text? Right? Do you agree with the text? Now, this isn't what ETT says, right? Or Elder Tahor. This is not about what Elder Tahor said. This is what the Bible says. So at the end of the day, hey, look, if you agree with this text, then then that's good. But if not, then you're not on a level. Just that simple, man. Okay, just very simple. But going back to the whole polite situation, which I'm gonna get caught up on the comments in a second. But as I said, polite, if he did do that, he's not going off according to the scriptures because the scriptures say that you can do it. Okay, it might not be wise to do, today, of course, because you have the wicked, bearing rule. But it is in the scriptures. All right. So I mean, you can't tell a man, for an example, let me give an example. Um, the scriptures speak about that it's okay to eat certain types of birds, right? Or a certain type of fish. Oh, let's give an example. Because you got Sakari teaching that tuna, right? Tuna fish is an unclean fish, which is bullshit because tuna is clean, right? Tuna is clean. Okay. But let's deal with that. If a man doesn't like to eat tuna, which matter of fact, I don't even have to give a hypothetical because my brother, right, my brother in real life, he hates tuna, right? I eat tuna. I don't not usually I don't eat it, but once in a while I might have a tuna, packet. You know what I'm saying? What is it that what's that damn tuna pack, man? Isn't it the star or something like that? It has the fish on it. You all know what I'm talking about. But oh, Star Kiss, I believe it's called. But anyway, um, this is a good example to use. My brother hates tuna, but I can't tell him, hey, look, well, if you don't eat tuna, well, then you're going off. I can't tell him that, right? But neither can he tell me that if I eat tuna, that I'm going off. You know why? Because the tuna, the Most High said it, you can eat it. That doesn't mean you have to, but you have the option to eat it if you would like to. Okay, so a man doesn't have the right to tell another man that he's going off if he does or does not, you know, enjoy to eat that. Okay, one doesn't have the right to say that. Now you can choose if you don't want to eat it, then you don't. That's all cool. Okay, but you don't have the right to tell another man that he's going off if he does. Okay, you don't have the right to tell another person that. Let me see. I'm just gonna get caught up on the chat real quickly. Uh, let's see. Luke asked, "Is masturbating a sin?" And the answer to that question is no. And I know people bring up what's that one story where the brother was his brothers died, so it took his brother's wife, and the law says that you have to bring up children to it, right? So the man took her and spilled his semen on the ground, right? So then the Lord struck him dead. So they'll use that to say that well, see, well, masturbation is a sin. Well, no, because the reason why the man was killed in that instance was simply because the law said that he had to raise children unto his brother's wife when he passed, right? So he didn't do that, right? So that's why he went off. It wasn't because of masturbation, but it's rather because he did not fulfill the duty of the law. Okay, so then in that instance, one can't say that proves that masturbation is a sin. That's going off. That's not in the scriptures. Um, let me see. Yeah, yeah. Luke said, right, book, chapter, verse, right, right, and that's what it is when you deal with these guys, man. It's like, hey, look, give me book, chapter, verse. Sacramento said, are you live streaming outside or inside or outside Walmart, ETT? Nah, I'm actually somewhere else at the moment, man. I there's actually a lot of places, man, that you can go and use their connection. You know, well, it's not always well, why they're busy, but after hours, it's actually decently well. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, it is what it is, man. Um, Luke said, apparently you are a murderer if you don't take the juice and tell other people to not take it. Yeah, man, that just shows the foolery of these Christians, man. All right, it just shows, man. I mean, it's just as I said, man. Hey, look, Yahweh Shai has to return soon, man. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say, man. That's why the scriptures say what? That if those days were not cut short, no flesh would be able to be saved. But then it says what? But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. So that's dual meaning. You know what that means? That one, that proves that the elect are going to be on the earth during that time. But then it shows what? That the Lord's gonna shorten the time. Okay, the Lord's gonna shorten the time. And that's the time we're in right now, man. Okay, and that's why you're seeing all of these events happening all over the world, man. And I mean, hey, look, there's no logical human being that can tell me that, you can look at all the events going on in the world. How the hell can you tell me this doesn't line up with the Bible, man? I mean, everything that we're seeing is lining up with what Christ told us, right? I mean, everything's there, man, right? Christ said, hey, look, in the last times there'll be pestilences, right? Earthquakes, uproars of the people, right? Nations, going against nations, right? Earthquakes in diverse places. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing all of this, man. But there's never been a time in history like what we're experiencing right now. And why is that? Because we're in the time where the highest is now beginning to visit the world, as it says in Second Ezra's, the ninth chapter, right? Start at verse 1 on down, right? Hey, look, now when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you will well understand that this is the same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world. Right, and the highest is now beginning to visit the world. And that's why we're seeing all of these UFO sightings as such a great, you know, um, level, if that makes sense. But it's at such a great amount that we're seeing these UFO sightings. Why? Because the angels, which the angels are in the UFOs, all right, they're now visiting much more than they have in the past, man. And that's why you have, as the days go by, you're having hundreds of videos being uploaded, every week of these unexplained, flying vehicles, man, that people are seeing. And why is that? Because these are the chariots of the higher powers, man, right? Visiting mankind. Why? Because, Christ is about to return very soon. He said, you can't get a job if you're not maxed. Yeah, man, I mean, damn, man. I mean, hey, look, man, here in Babylon the Great, at certain job, positions, they'll let you work without getting juiced. But with that being said, they'll offer incentives. So what does that mean? They'll give bribes. What is a bribe? It basically is hey, look, if you do this and this, I'll give you this and that. Right? That's what a bribe is. Okay, so they'll give a bribe saying, hey, look, if you know, juice, we'll give you $300 extra. And that's a lot of money, man. $300 extra, right? As just a little bonus. I mean, hell, man, people are going to be dropping like flies, man, and I'll give an example. How are they going to be dropping like flies? They're going to be dropping away from their earlier stances. Because all these people, they're saying, oh, they'll never, get anything in me. And you see that everywhere, man. I was at the Dollar Tree one time, man. Overheard some workers, talking, to a local that comes in the store. And they were like, hey man, you gonna get that, that juice? And he was like, hell to the no. And that's his exact words. He was like, hell to the no, he's not gonna get it. I wouldn't be surprised if that coon got it, man. Why? Because all they gotta do is throw a little money your way and they can turn your mind, man. That's why the scriptures say that money's the root of all evil. Doesn't mean money itself's evil, but the love of money, right? And that's what our people are doing, right? Chasing that bag, man. Right? Trying to chase that bag. Right. So as I said, you had all these people, sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to stand up for my rights, right? My so-called rights. Read the book, The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose, if you want to know more about that, right? My so-called rights. Um, but now here it is. If you throw a little bit of money their way, they'll fold, man. I mean, hell, people's integrity is as thin as a piece of paper, man. That's sad, but I mean, it just is what it is. Bear with me a second. I'm just catching up on the chat real quickly, just making sure I didn't skip anything. Right, but as I said, man, let me just see this real quick. Oh well, these churches, man, are sold out. Right, these churches are all sold out, man. That's why they are under a what is it, a 501c3, which I believe even what's those coons? Even the what is it, LUIC, right? LUIC, Israel United in Christ. I believe they have a 501c3, which means what, they don't have to pay taxes. Um, but they have to, they're limited on what things they can talk about. So that shows that they sold out, man. But just like what happened with Judas, right? Judas Iscariot, right? He sold out. Where he gave over the Son of Man for what? Like what was it? 30 pieces of silver, man? Right? We all know how that ended. Okay, but that just shows you, man, that these guys sold out for that bag, man. If they're really sincere about their ministry, they shouldn't take that damn 501c3, man. All right, they shouldn't be doing that. Oh, and don't get me started on these guys out here saying that the Bible teaches to pay your taxes. That's not in the scriptures. They're referring to what is that? Matthew 22 verse 17 on down, right? If you read that, it says what? That the people came to Christ and said, "Is it okay if we willingly give tribute to Caesar?" And Christ said, "Hey, let me see the coin." He saw Caesar's face on it. He's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you can give it to him." The question was not, well, our leaders are saying, give us your money or we'll hurt you. That wasn't the question. And that's what modern taxation is. You pay us this or we'll hurt you. That's what modern taxation is. But back then, people would willingly give tributes. Okay, it wasn't force. Okay, so anyone saying that well, you're in sin against God if you don't pay your taxes. Yeah, what the hell are you talking about? I could also say that, well, if you don't take the juice, well, then you're in sin against God then because God's minister said you have to take the juice. So how the hell would you get around that one? And the answer is by doing that Hebrew hopscotch. And that's what GMS is doing, right? Not to get on the Brothers in Great Millstone, because as I said, love the Brothers in Great Millstone. That's a camp that I would say I've learned the most from. But even them, man, are shady on that topic. You ask them it, and they'll tap dance. Right? That's what they'll do. I asked the elder Apostle Gabara, and he was tap dancing, man. He don't want to deal with it. I asked him because he made a statement and said, "Well, if the law of the land goes against the Bible, then we don't obey the law of the land." So I asked him, "Okay, well, wait a second. Well, the law of the land that protects man laying with man, that law goes completely against the Bible. So why are you guys not disobeying that?" And he was like, "Oh, well, I don't know." Right? Nobody ever asked him that before, so he never really thought of it that way. Right? So that's why, as I said, man, ETT is bringing a whole new vibration, right? A whole new philosophy and way to look at it. Okay. And even you had the one brother on there. What was it? Bible Defender 144, I believe the brother's name is. And he was saying, oh yeah, man, I was watching your no your video, right? Your breakdown of Romans the 13th chapter, and comparing it with these other groups, and what you're saying is making a lot of sense. Say, I got to give the brother a pat on the back that he finally is seeing the reality for what it is, man. Right? Again, not to bash on the brothers, in these other groups, right? I hope that the brothers make it on those chariots, of course, and I'll always say that. But I mean, you have to take the meat and leave the bones, man. Right? You have to take the meat and you have to leave the bones with certain guys, man, because they all give out good information on certain topics, but then they go off on other things. I'll give an example. I was watching what is it that I believe it's the ISUPK, the LUIC. I was watching one of their videos last night about the UFOs, right? And they did a very well put together presentation. It was a very good presentation. Very good edited altogether, man. Right. The sound effects were great. Video and images was spot on, right? Absolutely phenomenal job by the LUIC on that video, man. Just like with all their other animations in their videos, right? Compared to the other camps out here. So I'll give them that. Right. It was very well put together. But then they go off on other topics, right? So as I said, you got to give them respect, but then you know, you have to take the meat and you got to leave the bones, man. That's what I'm going to say. Same thing with these truthers out here, man. Some of these truthers, I'll give an example. Just like with Russian vids, he does a lot of good videos, talking about the Freemason, symbolism, and exposing some of these so-called, staged events, right? Um, but then he goes off. Where you ask him what Babylon the Great is, oh, well, I don't know. You ask him, well, what are UFOs in the scriptures? Oh, I don't know. What did you ask him? Is Jesus black? Oh, I don't know. Right. So stuff like that, you gotta, take away the bones, right? Don't follow what he's saying on that. But then it's also good to get certain, other information from him. Okay, so that's what you gotta do, man. Hey, you gotta take the meat and you have to leave the bones, man. All right, and that's a deep saying, man. That's a deep parable, right? You gotta take the meat, but you have to leave the bones. Let me just see real quick. He said, Luke said, you can't even preach against, man and man. And I can't use that exact word on here, but you know what I'm talking about. Says, oh, you'll have the police knocking on your door. Yeah, didn't that happen with what's that cat? Steven Anderson, right? I remember watching. He got what? Didn't he get his nose broken or something over teaching that a few years back? Oh, I have to look for the video again, but yeah, man, you got to be diligent. Okay, you got to be diligent. You ain't gonna. You just got to be diligent with certain things you say, man. Okay, scriptures talk about a wise man will hold his tongue, right? A wise man will not say certain things. Okay, so you just have to be wise, man. Okay, that's just a good way to look at it. You have to be wise with, the way you word things. And even Christ said, hey, look, be as wise as a serpent, be as wise as a serpent, but as harmless as a dove, man. And that's what it means. But you got to be very slick in how you use certain words. Let me see. He said, you got the Limiters channel saying that almost every truther channel is a shill. I mean, can somebody tell me this down below in the comments or on the live chat? What is a shill? Like, what does that mean? Does it mean that they're like deliberately tricking people, or are they like getting paid by somebody to lie? I mean, what is a definition of a shill? Because I hear everyone saying that, but nobody really gives a definition. The best definition I've really heard is a different word, and that would be as mine and God will call them actors, right? He just say they're an actor, right? I like that terminology. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, somebody tell me like what do they mean by a shill? Like what are they saying? That somebody's getting paid to lie to 1,000 people on their channel, right? They're getting a paycheck from a third party just to trick 1,000 people. I mean, come on, man. It's a crazy Illuminati conspiracy right there. Now, I'm not saying that some of these top guys, like I'll give an example, Alex Jones or just cat, Joe Rogan or some of these guys who have a lot of reach, maybe somebody's giving them a little side money to not talk about certain things. Maybe that's true, right? Maybe that's true for certain high guys up in there. But to say that about somebody that has 20,000 subs, I don't see it. It just, to me, in my personal opinion, it just seems ridiculous to say that people are getting paid to not talk about certain things to, a channel that has, 5,000 people on. Don't you think that maybe they don't talk about it just because they don't have interest in it? I would think that's the more logical way to look at it. And again, I'm not denying that maybe there's somebody out there that's getting paid to not talk about something. Maybe that's true, right? Maybe that's true. Out here in YouTube land, maybe that's true. Okay, but I wouldn't sit there and say that everybody, is being paid to not talk about something. I mean, hell, you have people out there, man, to this day who believe that ETT is being paid by Vigilant Christian Mario to not talk about it. Hey, if that's so, man, TVC Mario, you better send that check out to me ASAP, man. The hell you been waiting for? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, what's that cat? Just like Andrew Ashby. Oh well, ETT don't want to talk about TVC Mario. So see, that means that he must be being paid by TVC Mario to not talk about him. I mean, come on, man. What the hell are you talking about? Damn coon, man. Damn fool. You know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous. Luke said, let me see, said the word shill has been bounced back and forth, and now it's almost lost its meaning. Right, right. As I said, man, I guess you have to take it upon the context that they use the word. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the most logical way to go about it. But I think what they mean when they say shill is they're talking about that somebody's getting paid to to talk about. certain things and not talk about others, or they're, like Illuminati, government spies. Which I mean, as I said, maybe could there be a handful of people out there that might be, you know, paid off to not talk about something? Maybe here or there, right? Maybe one here and far in between. Maybe there's some paychecks that are being pushed their way. Maybe that's true. But to sit there and say that if somebody is on the comment board and, they have like, 1,000 subs to say, oh, if you don't agree with me on this topic, then you must be some type of like shill. You must be being paid by someone. Come on, that's ridiculous, man. You know what I'm saying? As I said, the best way I would put it is they just disagree, right? They just see the topic differently. So you can call them an actor, right? As Mind of God does. I like that terminology. But to say it, they're a shill, right? Being paid by somebody to not talk about something, I think that's ridiculous. That's a crazy Illuminati conspiracy to sit there and say that about so many people. As I said, maybe here and far in between, there might be somebody who's receiving a check behind the scenes. Maybe that's true on certain people, but to sit there and say that about somebody, that it's like a regular person that just comes online and talks, I don't see that. No, it just doesn't make sense. Let me see. Hmm. Luke said a shill is an actor that is funded by the elite to make the truth or community crazy or to mix the truth with religion or an agenda. Right. I'll give an example of that. If you look at the what is that community? The Flat Earth community, I believe it's called. Oh no, excuse me, the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society, right? Which you all should probably know who that is, right? But they've been around before the Get a load of this. The Flat Earth Society has been around longer than the whole Flat Earth movement, right? They've been into Flat Earth before, Mark Sargent and Eric Dubay, man. And those cats were like the first guys to talk about that topic. Right, so the Flat Earth Society's been around. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, weren't they? I'm gonna have to do more research on them, but I believe they've been around since the '80s, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I believe I've heard that somewhere before that they've been around that long. But I'm gonna have to fact check that. Right, that might not be true. It might be, newer than that, or something like that. But the point of the matter still stands that they've been out there longer than the whole theory has been out there, if that makes sense. They've been out there talking about that for longer than people have been making flat earth videos on the internet. All right. They've been talking about the flat earth before even the fathers of the flat earth movement were talking about it, if that makes sense. Talking about Eric Dubay and Mark Sargent. Um, Let me see. But hey, those guys are disinfo. You know why? Because they teach, just for one example, they teach that the earth is constantly accelerating, right? It's going upward. That's why things fall down, is because the earth is going upwards, right? It's accelerating or accelerating, whatever word you use to pronounce it, whatever the proper pronunciation would be. The earth is um, going upwards, right? So that's why they say things fall down when you put them there, is because the earth's going upwards, which is bullshit, right? That's not true. So that's one way that they try to discredit it, right? They'll put a truth out there that the earth, is flat, but they'll put a lie out there saying that the earth is, going upwards. And then the model that they put out there is ridiculous. It's basically, well, if you go too far, you'll fall off the edge of the world. Right? The earth's like a damn, square or something, right? That, water and ships going off the side. No, that's bullshit. But that's what they want to put out there because that tricks people. Right. So somebody who hears the term flat earth, they might look into it and they might, stumble upon the Flat Earth Society before anything else, and they'll look into it and say, "Oh, this is a bunch of nonsense, man," and then put it to the side and not look further into it. Why? Because they saw that misinformation that the Flat Earth Society put out there. So I mean, that could be an example of a shill organization that's been deliberately put there to discredit something. I can agree to that one, right? I can see that. Another thing as well, YouTube is being paid off as well, I would say. You know why? Because if you can do this right now. Go on YouTube, look up the term flat earth. Don't put up don't put what is it, Mark Sargent by Eric Dubay, End Time Teacher, right? Mind of God, Russian vids. Don't put any of that next to it. Just look up the term flat earth. Just do that. Just look up the term and you go through the videos. 99% of the videos that are going to come up are either exposing or debunking videos or just joke videos. That's all that comes up. There's no serious videos that come up like trying to have a serious discussion about the matter. It's just, well, this is why it's so foolish, right? This is why, like, what is it, the Infographics channel? They have a video on there, why flat earthers are dead wrong, right? All of that will come up, right? All of those will come up, but you'll never get a recommendation from Eric Dubay or Mark Sargent or Mind of God or Russian Vids. You never get any of them, right? Or Globebusters. You have to deliberately look deep for them. You have to put up their channel name or the exact name of the video word by word in order for it to pop up. You can't no longer look up the term flat earth and find a fair, you know, recommendation section of videos that are pro and against. You only see videos that are against now. That's all you see. Wait, so they deliberately did that. They deliberately did that. Right? So that's that's an example, man. All right, of how they deliberately done that on purpose. Let me just grab a drink real quick. Oh, Luke said, I'll give you an example of a shill. Alex Jones talks about the truth, yet he promotes Trump. Oh, that's a good example. That's a fair example. Let me see. But you see, some of these people you're mentioning, they could be just talking from their own personal viewpoints on it, though. I mean, I would say maybe some of them could be getting a paycheck from behind the scenes. That's a possibility. But you have to also bear in mind that some people are just talking from their own opinions and their personal viewpoints, right? So I wouldn't sit there and say all these people are shills. Like I'll give an example. I don't like Richie from Boston. I don't hate the guy, but I know him because I've watched some of his stuff in the past. I've seen it. Right? He's not one for me, because he talks about some he don't know the scriptures. Well, I'll just put that out there. But I'm not gonna call him a shill. Right? I don't think he's getting paid to sit there and say nothing. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. He said, but then you got the smaller shills or the trolls. Well, let me say this. I don't think that people are getting paid to sit on there and make jokes commenting on your channel. For one, there's some bots that come around doing it. They're just computers going around and putting these comments on videos. They're not even real people. And then the real people that come by and make fun of it, they're just scoffers, right? They're not being paid by nobody. They're just sitting there to make fun of it because they find it amusing, right? Now, maybe there could be somebody out there that's getting paid to sit around and make jokes about people. Maybe, but I personally don't believe that. Okay, just the people who are trolls are just having a good time making fun of the content on the comment pool. I mean, you have real people in the world, not everybody, you know what I'm saying? It's not everybody's being paid if they have a, opposite opinion other than you. You know what I'm saying? Just doesn't make any sense. That's what these truthers will do. Oh, if you don't agree with me, then you got to be being paid by somebody. It's like, come on, what the hell are you talking about, man? There's real people in the world that have different viewpoints. You know what I'm saying? That's the way you got to look at it. Oh, the scriptures even say that in the last days, scoffers shall come. Are those scoffers being paid? No, the scoffers are just ones who don't believe in it. So that's just the way I'm gonna respond to that. That's my personal viewpoint. dealing with the, so-called shills, so-called, trolls, and stuff like that. Let me see. Which will go for another 20 minutes. I'll round it out at 2 hours. If there's any more questions anyone wants to ask, you can ask them now, um, while you have a chance. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, call for an uprising, face like the sun. Yeah, I've seen those channels before. Which, fun fact, by the way, I was me and what's that cat? Me and Call for an Uprising started YouTube about the same time period, actually, back in 2016. I believe I started maybe 3 months before him. But I remember subscribing to him when he had like less than 13,000 subscribers on his page. I don't really watch him anymore because he's not deep into the scriptures. But I did go to his channel and watch a few of his videos the other day. And I'll say, he definitely gives out some fair information on certain topics, right? I'll give him that. That's true. But he's not deep into the scriptures, right? Like, as I said, I think the guy is cool, but I don't have much beef with the guy. I'm just I haven't watched much of him. A lot of these truth channels, you know, um, you end up losing an interest in 'em. I'll give an example. What's that guy, KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel? Look that guy up, right? KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever. I was watching him. He says a lot of good stuff, makes a good, amount of videos that are actually, speaking of truth. But then they go off because then they talk about how, well, God and Satan are in a war together, right? That Satan's going around doing all the evil, that UFOs are satanic, that you know, America ain't Babylon, right? That and the list could go on and on. Okay. So certain guys when they start teaching stuff like that, then it's like, I mean, hey, free strikes and you're out, right? Just a little inside joke with how YouTube is with your channel, right? Hey, look, free strikes and you're out. So that's the way you got to look with these truthers, man. Hey, look, you get free strikes. If you get all of them wrong, then I'm not watching your videos anymore. What do I mean by that? If they're on there saying that Christ loves everybody, that's strike one. If they're on there saying that America ain't Babylon, that's strike two. If they're on there saying that UFOs are satanic, oh, that's strike three, right? Then I'm gonna have to go move to another channel. It doesn't mean that they're wrong with everything they're saying, but I mean, it's hard to listen to some certain people that are teaching such nonsense. I'll give an example. I might still listen to Tried and Refined once in a while to see what they're up to, but it's kind of hard to do that knowing that they're teaching that Babylon the Great is the Vatican City. But it's kind of hard to do that. I'll give another example. I might listen to a debate Sakari has, but it's kind of hard to do so because they teach that you ain't a man till you're 20 years old, which is pure bullshit, right? So it might be hard for me to sit down and listen to somebody teaching such heresy. But nevertheless, I might still do it, just for my entertainment. Let me see. I'm just reading over the comments real quickly. Right, man. But going back to what I was saying about Mind of God at the beginning of the video, man. I was watching, their stuff, and they're on there talking about now. Oh well, the hey, look, Christ is going to return before the great tribulation to take away his elect. It's like that's not in the scriptures. Where the hell is that at in the scriptures? Because as I quoted earlier, Matthew 24, to go a few verses above verse 29, it says that there should be great tribulation that was not since the world began, right? Neither unto this time. But under it, it says what? But for the elect's sake, these days will be shortened. So wait a second. It says there's going to be great tribulation. And then under it, it says, but for the elect's sake, the Lord is going to shorten these days. So, I mean, that's case closed, man. It says that there's going to be great tribulation and that the elect are going to be on earth during great tribulation. ETT didn't make that up. That's what the text says. His mind of God makes it about the word, right? Oh, it says tribulation. But in this one, it says great tribulation. See, that means it's two time period. which is nonsense. All right. But in the verse I mentioned, it literally says great tribulation. And the verse under it, which is the verse above what it speaks about great tribulation is the context. So the verse underneath it says, but for the elect's sake, those days will be shorn. What days will be shorn? The days of the great tribulation for the sake of the elect. I mean, it's very clear, man. I mean, a lot of guys are just tap dancing around those scriptures like the bottom half of Betty Ripson. That's just the only way you got to look at things, man. Okay, but whatever way you slice the cake at the end of the day, right? Whatever way you slice the cake, it's very clear that Christ is going to return after the tribulation of those days, right? After the great tribulation is when the Son of Man will be revealed. That's why the scriptures speak about no, the only way one can be saved is he has to endure until the end. That's the way to be saved, is you have to endure the hardships that are to come. Okay, so we got to, bear with me a second, we got to, bear through all that, man. Okay, we got to bear through all that. Luke asked, what are your thoughts on faithful servants of Christ? Hey, look, I reached out to faithful servants of Christ, and I've asked a guy, I've been asking him for 2 years now. I've been asking the brother for 2 years to join me on a video, and we can have a civilized discussion on these topics. Every time I ask him, he's like, "Oh, well, I'm too busy with work right now." It's like, okay. I mean, you can't be too busy if you're putting out, damn 10 videos a day. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not hating on the guy. I'm just saying that, it's like, come on, man. I've been asking you for 2 damn years. You can't put around a damn hour for me, to hop on the show and have a discussion. Wait a second. I thought you were a warrior for Christ, right? A teacher of Christ. So since he's sitting on there saying that we have such satanic false teachings, it's like, well, why the hell don't you come on there and refute us? Why don't you do that? And he don't know. Or he's just like, well, I don't know. LP said I've started YouTube in the middle of 2016. Yeah, I started as I said, I started YouTube in 2016 too. So we both started roughly around the same time. I believe I started in damn, I would have to go back and check. I don't remember the day or the month, but it's it's definitely been a while. Let me see. Oh, he got a new character in the chat here. I believe this guy's from Mind of God's channel. It's the name is Cry Now, Laugh Later. He said closing time. Let me see. I believe this guy's saying that the elect would not be on earth during the great tribulation. If that's the case, tell me, brother, how is the time period of the great tribulation going to be cut short for the elect's sake if the elect are not going to be on the earth during the time period of the great tribulation? And of course, a shalom to Luke. Thank you for stopping by. And then yeah, man, we'll see you around next time. Thanks for joining the show. Let me just read a couple of these comments. But hey, cry now, laugh later. Answer that question, man. Please answer that question. If you don't know the answer, just say you don't know. That's all cool. Okay, but if you're gonna sit here and make such bold claims, then you're gonna have to be able to defend your position. Bear with me a second. All right, he said, Revelation chapter 7, verse 13, it says, and one of the elders answered and sang unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? It says, and I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Right, but what is the point with this? Because this is talking about God's elect here. This is talking about the elect. So as I said, man, hey, look, man, mind the guy's leading you all astray, man. That's all I'm going to tell you. You, as I said, man, you ain't on no level. You ain't, you don't know. That verse has nothing to do with what you're trying to say, because I agree, it says that. I agree, it says that. But that proves my point. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. As I said, man, you guys are are basically like Christians, is what you guys are, man. Because did you know that it's the Christian doctrine that Christ is going to return before the Great Tribulation? That's what Christians believe. So you guys are just taking the belief of Christianity and trying to incorporate it into the text. That's what you guys are doing, man. Right? You're just taking the beliefs of the Christian church and trying to incorporate it into the scriptures. Same thing with the virgin birth. The virgin birth is a belief of the Christian church. So you guys are taking it and trying to incorporate it into the text. Okay, you know what else comes from the church? Which you should know this. But hell, right? The doctrine of hell comes from the church. When we know that's wrong, right? We know what the church teaches is wrong. So why are we trying to take some of the teachings of the church and incorporate them into the scriptures? No, it makes sense. So cry now, laugh later. Answer that question, man. Right? I read your precepts. Your precepts have nothing to do with refuting my statements. It actually helps to um, reinforce my teaching. May also. So either you can admit that you don't know the answer, or you can man up and you can try to answer it. Very simple. Let me just grab a drink real quick. And while you're at it, and this is homework for everyone listening too. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. He responded and said, it says out of great tribulation. Bro, you tripping. Wait a second. Wait a second. It says out of great tribulation. But that enforces my teaching because these people were taken out of great tribulation. That's correct. So what are you, bro? What are you even trying to argue, man? Mighty God says that they're coming out of the hold on a second. Hold on a second. You know, because this character, I don't know if this guy's an actor or some type of, shill, inside joke. I'm just messing with him. The brother's cool. The brother's cool. But I mean, I don't even know what the hell this guy is trying to say, man. All right, but that verse proves my oh, hold on a second. He says, I'm not disagreeing with you, bro. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I thought that you were coming on here from the Mind of God's channel trying to argue his statement, brother. Okay, so I was unaware. So please excuse me for that, for my misunderstanding, right? Because I thought that you were trying to enforce his teaching, saying that the elect will not have to go through the tribulation. So please forgive me for my misunderstanding. I apologize. But yeah, as the brother's saying, right? As the brother's saying, now we understand that he's, given it to support what we're saying, which is cool. I misunderstood what he was saying. Um, but yeah, it proves the point. Well, as I said, brother, to be fair, you just put it out there. You weren't trying to you didn't tell me beforehand if you were trying to prove or disprove the point. So as I said, my apology for getting mixed up. But that's all right. Bear with me a second. But yeah, and now we got that handled. Right now we got that handled. Um, as I said, it refutes what the mind of God said, right? Let's go back to the first brother, right? Because as I said, it confirms what I'm saying, right? And as I said, now we confirm that he's on the same page as us. Now we can have a civil discussion, which is good. Revelation chapter 7, verse 13. It says, and one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? It says, and I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Yeah, as I said, that completely, proves, what we're trying to say, man. Okay, it's clear cut. But it says what? These are they who came out of the great tribulation. Right? It's clear as day, man. So you ask Mind of God about that, and he'll tell you that well, that's talking about the remnant, but the elect are taken away prior to that, is what he'll respond and tell you. Right? That's what he will tell you. That the elect are taken away prior to great tribulation. They're taken away in tribulation, is what he says. But then later on, when the great tribulation comes, that's when the um The remnant have to go through it, which is clearly wrong. As I said, those guys are just playing the word game is all they're doing. That's all they're doing. They're just playing a word game, trying to mess around with what words mean. All right. And then, as I said, going back to my point I made earlier, Matthew 24, a few verses above verse 29, which is a different cut as well. But it says what? Then there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the world began, neither unto this time. But for the elect's sake, those days they will be shortened. So again, I'm going to ask the question again. It says, for the elect's sake, the great tribulation days will be shortened. So how the hell can the elect, God's elect, not be on earth during the great tribulation if it says that for the elect's sake, the days of the tribulation will be shortened? How the hell does that make any sense? Seriously, somebody ask my God that. That's a real question. That is a real question. And he'll tell you, well, he doesn't know. That's all he'll say, man, is he doesn't know. So we'll go for a few more minutes. We'll round it out at 2 hours. You know, but man, it's to end it off with, man, which just has been a good stream, right? This is a good stream tonight. I was only on with myself tonight. I put a link in the chat, but no one wanted to jump on. And that's cool, right? Not everybody, always wants to come on, every day. Some days it's always good to, just talk on your own, man. To express what's on your mind. Because when you always have everyone on here, you're not always able to do so, completely. So that's always positive, once in a while to have a whole panel to yourself. Let me see. So one thing we can end off with saying is about these Christians saying that bear with me a second. Saying that the law is done away with, right? That the law is done away with. It's like, well, wait a second. How the hell can the law be done away with if people are being judged when Christ returns for going against God's laws? So by what logic can a Christian pastor say that the laws of God are done away with today? Right? That was old, right? That was back then. That's not today. It's like, well, how do you know that? That's a real question. Like, how exactly do you know? That's a real question. How do you know? Scriptures tell you, what is it? Hebrews 13:8. I, the Lord, I was the same yesterday, today, and forever. Right. So the Lord was the same yesterday, today, and forever. Bear with me a second. Bear with me a second. I was just changing something. Hope you all like my new profile picture. I made this one especially just for the mind of God. I hope that it pops up because I just changed it. Yeah, mind of God said, yeah, that's a damn actor for sure on there. Just messing with. But going back to the whole Christians, man, it's like well, wait a second. How the hell could God's law be done away with? If it says in what is that, Revelation chapter 14, verse 12, it says, here is the patience of the faith of the saints, and here are they who keep the commandments of God. Nearly paraphrasing the text. But it says what? Here are they who keep the commandments of God. What are the commandments? What does the word commandment mean? Does anybody know? What is a commandment? Does anybody know the answer to that? Question for the chat. A commandment, the word commandment, means a law, right? So, with that being said, remember, they teach that the law was done away with, which is clearly wrong. But again, remember this, the word commandment means a law. So now we know this, going by that verse, it says, we can also read it this way. Here's the faith of the saints, and they who keep the laws of God. It says the commandments of God, but we know a commandment means a law, right? So they who keep the laws of God. That's what it's basically saying in the nutshell. Okay, so clearly that proves that the law was not done away with. And then how the hell could Christ have done away with the law if Christ said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 on down, that you got to keep the laws, right? Blessed are they who teach men to obey and to keep the laws. They shall be great in the kingdom of heaven. So Christ admitted there that he wasn't doing away with the laws. And guys will bring up certain examples like John the 8th chapter, right, dealing with the woman taken in adultery, and they'll use that to say, well, the law in the Old Testament says that that a woman who commits adultery is supposed to be stoned to death for committing adultery. So they'll say, well, why did they not stone her then? See, they went against the law of God. So see, that law's done away with. Well, that's not true. You know why? The reason why the woman was not stoned in that situation is, yes, the law does say that, for that sin, the punishment is to be put to death. It says that in the law. But in that instance, Christ decided to show her mercy. He didn't have to do that, but he just decided to do so. Okay. But guess what? Here's the kicker though. Christ told the woman, hey, look, don't do this again. He told her, go and sin no more. Right? Go and sin no more. Christ told her, go and don't do this action again. Right? So Christ was showing some compassion. He didn't have to, because the law says that he could have, killed her for that. She could have been stoned because she broke the law. That would have been a righteous judgment. But the Lord decided to show mercy. If you go to what is that? Romans chapter bear with me a second. Romans chapter 9 and verse 15. It says what? That the Lord will have compassion on who he decides to have mercy on. And the Lord will show mercy to who he decides to have mercy, right? The Lord will have compassion on who he decides to have compassion. And the Lord will show mercy unto who he decides to show mercy. So the Lord can decide that if one person commits this action, then they're going to be punished according to the law. But for another person, the Lord might say, oh, you know what? We'll let it slide this time, but don't do it again. I'll give a perfect example of this statement. Well, with King David, right? What did David do? King David slept with a married woman. The punishment of that, according to the law, is to be put to death. That's what the law says. To sleep with another man's wife is punishable by death. Okay, so what David did is he had the man who was the husband of the woman. He had him put at the front of the battle, so there would be a great chance that he would die. Right? So David thought that he could escape the judgment. But then what the Lord did is, instead of taking David's life, the Lord showed mercy unto David and instead took the child's life that he had with the woman he committed adultery with. Right? But again, the law says that you're supposed to be put to death if you sleep with a woman who's married to a man. So David wasn't put to death. So that proves that the Lord can decide to show mercy on somebody despite what the law says. All right, so that cuts these guys who try to use John the 8th chapter as proof that the law is done away with. Because that's what Ridge Napper tried to do, which he was on the show earlier. I don't know where he went to now, but he was on here like 2 hours ago for a few minutes. He teaches that. Which I don't know if he amended his teaching, but that's what he was teaching last year, man. I mean, hell, at one point he was saying that the God of the Old Testament is Satan. It's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? And believe it or not, there's a lot of people out here teaching that. As weird as that sounds, you can look it up on YouTube. Let me see. Let me see real quickly. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11, he says, he have made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he have set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. And Cry Now, Laugh Later is putting up these few verses for us here. Let's see. 1 Timothy 1:5. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart and of a good consciousness and a faith unfrightened. Excuse my stutter. Sometimes I have a difficulty pronouncing certain words. Let me see. From which some having served have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. Right, right. As I said, man. Yeah, I got to give credit to Cry Now Laugh Later, man. At first, I thought he was defending Mind of God's doctrine, but now we got that cleared up. Yeah, this brother knows a lot, man. Right, I got to give him credit. Right, I got to give him credit. Right, that he's putting up a lot of good verses, man. Right, I got to give him credit. Um, he said, "Judgment and justice for your ass." Yeah, man. That's what Christ is coming to do, man. Right, so that's why you got to get right now, man. Right, this is the opportunity, to make yourself right with the Lord. So this is the time to do it. Okay, the scriptures say Isaiah 55 verse 6 says what? Call upon the Lord while he is near, right? Seek the Lord while he might be found. As the Lord can be found right now, man. Right? The Lord's prophets, right, starting with the elders and the apostles, a great millstone, on down, we're all out here, telling the people the truth. Right? We're out here prophesying, right, and telling the people the knowledge that they should know. Okay, so hey, look, man, you got to get it while it's hot, man. Right? Because this truth is hot right now. This is the talk of the town. Right? Everybody is on YouTube right now. It seems like everybody's trying to learn about this, man. I mean, hell, if you looked at our view counts before before this whole global situation, they were very low, man. But now, once everybody was stuck inside for forever, man, the view counts went up. Why? Because now people have all this free time, so now they're starting to look into this, right? And some people are still stuck at home. Right? I know some of them, right? So they're taking their time and spending it wisely, man. So I mean that's a good positive note to leave the show off on. As I said, apology to Cry Now Laugh Later. I thought you were coming against what I was saying. So as I said, my apology for um for my misunderstanding on that. Um, but yeah, I'll close it up in about 3 minutes here. I'll let it play out to 2 hours 10 minutes just because of my OCD. If anybody made this far into the video, if you're watching after the stream has already aired, go ahead and put hashtag, um, let's see, what hashtag? Go ahead and put hashtag GMS in the comment section. Hashtag GMS in the comment section down below. We'll give them a little shout out there. Right, so hashtag GMS in the comment section down below for anybody who made it this far into the stream. Let me see. Right, but yeah, man, going back to what I was saying, about the Christians in this whole law. It's just, I mean, these cats are cut 6 ways to Sunday, man. Right? Because whatever way you cut the cake, whatever way you slice the cake, it's very clear, okay, that the law was not done away with. Anybody teaching that doesn't know the scriptures because wait a second. What is sin according to the Bible? 1 John 3 and 4, for sin is the transgression of God's laws. So sin was if sin is the transgression of God's laws, but God's laws are done away with, well, wait a second. By logic, that must imply that is no sin. Therefore, according to the Christian doctrine, right, because they teach that people burn in hell, right? So, according to the Christian doctrine, how the hell can people go to hell then if they can't sin? Because if there's no law, well, then that means there's no sin because sin is the transgression of God's laws. So, I mean, it just doesn't make any logical sense to sit there and say that, man. So that's a cut, right? I mean, it's evident, man. Hey, but going back to what I quoted earlier, Revelation 2 verse 2, right? We have tried them who said they are apostles and are not, but we have found them to be liars, right? The word apostle means a teacher, right? So we tried them who told us that they were teachers and we have found them to be liars, right? So we tried these men who, told us that they were, ministers, right? Teachers of God. And we have found out that they're teaching us lies. That's what we found out. So, I hope that stream was, edifying, to to the Akim, I'm going to end the show off there. Of course, going to end off by giving all praise to Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai, for this knowledge of this truth. If anybody made it this far into the video, go ahead and put hashtag GMS down below. And I'm going to say